Back to school season is right around the corner, so I thought it would be a great time to share some of my top picks of laptops for students who are ready to embark on a new productive journey. We have some awesome creators chiming in with their picks as well, but before we dive in, a few housekeeping rules. Number one, avoid those with 8 GB or less RAM, as this often falls short of demands of modern applications and multitasking needs. Also, opting for at least 512 GB of storage is recommended since 256 GB can quickly become insufficient, especially with a resource-heavy operating system like Windows 11. To find the best deals, make sure to use resources like Camel, which can help track price changes on Amazon. Now, my golden rule when it comes to shopping for a laptop within a budget is looking for at least 16 GB of RAM, a decent screen, preferably 16:10, because that extra vertical screen real estate can come in clutch for productivity. I also look for a CPU that won't struggle in current and upcoming workloads, which is why you should definitely stay away from Celeron and N series, and even certain AMD Ryzen 7000 U series, because if we take this laptop as an example, it comes with a Ryzen 5 7520U processor, but you might be thinking that it's a bargain. But if you pay close attention to the last 2 digits, that 2 means it's rocking Zen 2. That's right, it's a Zen 2 CPU, which is like 5 years old. So please stay away from that. Anything with a 4 on it is a pretty good buy since it's based on Zen 4, which is still very capable. Intel's nomenclature, well, it can get really confusing. For example, what is a Core i5-120U? Now, these are extremely low-powered CPUs running at 15 watts, offering 30% less performance compared to something like the Ultra 5 125H. So these are our recommended options from both Intel and AMD if you're looking for a really strong CPU. Apple has been relatively quiet with their processors this year, but the M2 and the M3 are solid options. Qualcomm has also recently entered the arena, but I wouldn't recommend them right now due to compatibility issues. If you're a student, you don't want to gamble on this platform because the last thing you need is difficulty installing an application for your particular course that isn't natively supported for ARM. So yeah, just be aware of that. Now here's another tip if you're shopping for a laptop. I would look for devices with a USB-C port that supports power delivery or PD. Basically, this feature allows you to charge your laptop with either a battery bank or any USB-C adapter, which can be incredibly useful if you're running out of power during class or if you're just on the go. I feel like this feature is super capable, especially if you have a smartphone that takes USB-C. It's just one cable that can charge all of your devices, and I think it's just a great thing to have. To achieve perfection, sometimes you have to change the game. That means finding something that embodies modern design with a refined, minimalistic aesthetic that can easily be adapted to reflect your environment. Sculpted with precision-crafted weights for enhanced stability and style, whether you seek the perfect typing rhythm, a unique tactile feel, or unobstructed functionality, Drop's CST M80 is a TKL marvel that's sleek and bold, designed to dominate your workspace. Check it out down below. Now, I went on a mission to find laptops priced between $500 and $1,200, and just maybe a little bit more. And trust me, this process wasn't easy because sales happen frequently. If I share something right now that's on sale for $5.99, and if it shoots up to $9.99 in 2 days, I don't want you guys to leave this video disappointed. So use the criteria that I mentioned earlier as a rubric and shop responsibly. Most of the laptops that I have over here are listed MSRP, but at the time of making this video, some of them are on sale. My first pick is the Dell Inspiron 16. Now, the Inspiron series has always had a special place in my heart. I remember using one when I was in school, and honestly, for the price, it's a lot of laptop. So for $550 MSRP, you're getting a 16-inch laptop with a massive 16:10 1200p display, albeit it's a very dim panel at just 250 nits, so outdoor visibility is going to be very challenging. The design is clean, comes with a full-size keyboard with a numpad, which I'm sure students who are getting into business programs would appreciate. And you also get a lot of ports, including full-size HDMI 1.4, Type-C 3.2 Gen 2, you get Type-A ports, and a full-size SD card reader. Now, you can choose either Intel or AMD processors, but I would lean towards the Ryzen option since you're most likely going to get better battery life, considering this one has a very small 54 watt-hour battery. They are also a bit on the heavier side, but not too bad for a 16-inch laptop. It's 4.12 pounds, and it's about 0.75 inches or 19 millimeters thin. Next up is the Lenovo Slim 7i. Honestly, you can't go wrong with the Slim series from Lenovo. These things are built really well. They come with a beautiful and bright 16:10 display. The keyboards are one of the best you can find for a Windows laptop, and Overall, from a form factor standpoint, it's just super ideal for students since it's only 14 inches, weighs about 3 pounds, and it's 0.6 inches or 15 millimeters thin. You also get a generous number of ports, including HDMI 2.1, 2 Thunderbolt 4 Type-C ports, Type-A port, and a headphone jack. Now, this particular SKU comes with Intel's Meteor Lake Ultra 5 125H, and when you pair that with a 65-watt battery, expect pretty good battery life. Now, this next laptop is something that caught my attention solely because of its price, and I thought it would be cool to share. It's the Asus VivoBook 16, particularly the M1605 SKU. For $600, you're getting a Ryzen 7 CPU based on Zen 3, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 1TB SSD paired with a decent 16x10 1200p display. Now, obviously build quality is not going to be the greatest, but you do get a lot of ports, and the performance for the 8-core 16-thread processor is more than capable enough for basic tasks. Although I wouldn't push it too hard since it's capped at 15 watts. Next up, we have the Asus Zenbook 14 OLED. Now, there are a lot of things that I like about this laptop. First and foremost, it is incredibly thin, coming in at 0.6 inches, and it only weighs around 2.8 pounds. The design is super simple and very minimal. The power efficiency of the Ryzen 8040 series CPUs is just unbelievable. It gives some of Qualcomm's X Elite CPUs a run for their money because we got roughly 11 to 14 hours of runtime on our sample, so this is just an ideal machine for students on the go. It's also got a lot of ports, including Type-C with PD, Type-A, and HDMI, and that OLED display at 400 nits is just unbeatable for the price. Now, if you can justify the $999 price point, this is a bargain in my opinion. Now, I obviously have to talk about Apple's MacBook Air. And if you're comfortable pushing your budget past $1,000, I think this is a solid option for school because it's ultra portable, the build quality is solid. This thing features a really nice, bright, beautiful display. The keyboard is excellent, trackpad is awesome, and the performance of these M3 processors are just really good. They actually hold up really well against some of the newer chips that are available in the market. But the bad news is that Apple is starting to sell these laptops, or they still sell these laptops with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage, which is not enough. So I would recommend upgrading to 16 gigs of RAM and half terabyte of storage, but that's obviously going to drive up the cost. But if you're looking to save a few bucks, I would recommend exploring Apple's certified refurbished program and then also taking advantage of their student pricing because you can actually save a few $100s that way. All right, enough from me. Let's hear from some friendly faces and see what they have to say.
Alright, so how about the best gaming laptop for under $1,200? If you're buying a gaming laptop for school use, then it's worth prioritizing battery life and portability. It can be challenging to have enough battery charge to last throughout the day. It's no secret that gaming laptops are power hungry. They're usually bigger too. And trust me, as someone who went to school with a heavier 17-inch laptop for 3 years, mistakes were made. So for best battery life, you'll probably want to look at something with an AMD Ryzen processor, as those usually last longer compared to Intel options. And a 14-inch laptop is ideal for portability. With this combination in mind, my top picks are Asus's Zephyrus G14 and Lenovo's Legion Slim 5, which have both gone on sale recently for under $1,100. Look, I could spend 20 minutes talking about them, but ultimately they're both super portable 14-inch gaming laptops with beautiful OLED screens, amazing battery life, great build quality, and with AMD Ryzen processor and NVIDIA RTX 4060 graphics. So you get a nice combination of performance, battery life, and portability. And they both have a cleaner, stealthier looking design compared to others that just scream gaming laptop. And sometimes you've just got to keep it low key, or your parents might start asking if you're doing more gaming than schoolwork. I get it. Now, Eber asked me for options for under a $1,200 MSRP, but honestly, this is really hard to do because the options at full price are just so much worse compared to what you can find with a good sale. It's really worth spending the time finding the right deal, but it can be done. Good luck.
Hey folks, it's Alex here from Notebook Check, and we have two very different recommendations for you for your back-to-school shopping endeavors. The first one is one of my all-time favorite super portable notebooks, the Asus Zenbook 14 OLED. This is the higher-end Intel variant, which with its 120Hz high-res OLED, unfortunately does not quite fit our budget here today. However, Asus released a slightly cut-down SKU that makes some compromises in the RAM and screen department while still managing to maintain the majority of the Zenbook's overall qualities. So while you will have to live with just 16 gigs of solid memory and a Full HD OLED that is limited to 60Hz, you still get an excellent full metal chassis, a tactile keyboard, and a very solid selection of ports for such a thin notebook. Contrary to my sample, you would have to live with a black chassis, which is still very alright in my opinion, and when it comes to performance, the Zenbook is available in either AMD or Intel flavors, so you should be covered for the majority of your note-taking, entertainment and even some light gaming needs, with battery life that should last you almost all day. In addition, we have something a little different, unfortunately a Europe exclusive that kind of rethinks the whole portable productivity notebook idea. This is the XMG Evo 15 and it's basically an ultrabook without the usual compromises. Again, this one is available with either Intel's Meteor Lake Silicon or Team Red's Ryzen 7 8845HS. And in stark contrast to the majority of the competition, you can completely upgrade your memory config up to 96 gigs in total if you so desire, and if you need a ton of storage, you have 2 NVMe slots at your disposal. With all the ports you could possibly think of, including a network jack, enough space for cooling, a big battery and a snappy color-accurate IPS panel, you get a proper workhorse for all of your study needs.
So, at a max MSRP of $1,200, Apple's MacBook Airs with their 8GB of non-upgradable memory, come on, they're just too restrictive to recommend. So instead, we're going to suggest the Surface Laptop 7. That's for those students with basic computing needs like studying law, business or psychology. For you, the Surface with its new Snapdragon processor, it lasts long on battery, doesn't have fan noise, feels cool to the touch, plus it's an all-round premium device. Screen is great, keyboard is comfortable, trackpad is divine, and that blue color is going to make everyone in the quad jealous. Hint, save money by buying the X Plus version, not the X Elite. That faster processor, it just doesn't perform that well in this chassis anyway. If you're studying a discipline that requires specialist software like MATLAB or computer science programs, those may not work all that well on the Surface's new type of ARM processor. For you, a better buy is Asus's VivoBook S14 with AMD's just released Zen 5 processor. This new chip delivers many of the same benefits as the one in the Surface, but it doesn't have its downsides. All Windows programs will run on it and more games will be playable on it. The reason that I recommended the Surface over the VivoBook is as a whole, it does deliver a more premium experience. Now, if you want to skip classes and do some serious gaming, it's going to be very tough in this price range. We'd recommend looking for a Legion Slim 514 or an Asus G14 from prior years on sale or a returned unit. And if all these laptops are too expensive, the Zenbook 14 for an MSRP of $800 is the one to get. Josh out.
Matthew Modis here. Thank you, Hardware Canucks, for having me on. Look, back to school is simple, right? You want to save as much money as possible, okay? So always look for deals on laptops that came out last year. You should be saving as much money as possible so that you have money for food and most importantly, partying. You're in school, enjoy life. But look, if I had to pick a couple of laptops, I would pick the MacBook Air with M2. That thing's on sale for $799. I know it only comes with 8GB of RAM, but let's face it, 8GB of RAM on a MacBook is fine for browsing and general productivity. If you need anything that's a bit more intensive, then that's not the laptop for you. Maybe look at a Windows laptop, something like the Asus VivoBook S14. That thing is retailing for $849. If you're super tight on money, HP Envy is always a good pick. You can get those for around $500. But if you need a little bit more juice, the Asus G14 is on sale right now for $1250, and same with the Legion Slim 5. I hope those picks help, but most importantly, have a good school year, and more importantly, just have some fun. Thanks for sharing your picks, guys. I really appreciate that. Now, I'm just gonna wrap up this video by saying that there's no such thing as a perfect laptop. In fact, a lot of laptops that are priced, from $400 to $800 are mostly gonna come with cheaper build quality, mostly plastic build quality. So, I would keep your expectations down when you considering a laptop within that budget. Obviously, when you step up in price, quality does tend to get a little better, but there are some gems out there that are just so good. So that's one thing. The other thing is, look out for deals. Don't overspend. Find what matters to you the most. And then, if you're comfortable with that, if that makes you happy, just go for that. Also, the other thing I need to mention is that a lot of laptop manufacturers with newer designs are moving away from giving users access to memory and storage upgrade options. So I know that sucks, but it's not fully out yet. It's just like we're slowly starting to see that with a lot of these newer laptops coming into the market. So that's unfortunate. So I guess maybe now is actually a good time to buy one if I were thinking about upgrading in the future. On that note, thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great, fantastic school year, and let us know if I have missed out. If you guys have any recommendations for laptops within or less than $1,200 MSRP, let us know in the comments down below. I'm Ibor with Hardware Canucks. Thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys in
in the next one.